I don't know if the dog's looking like them or they're looking like the dog, but somehow commitment looks like the object it's committed to. Someone committed to business, do you know what they look like? Busyness. For years, I was training for the Olympics. I would train 12 to 14 hours a day during school, or after, when school wasn't in session, and during school, 6 to 8 hours every day, up 4 o'clock every morning. I could have taken off my shirt, and you'd say, he's an athlete. I won't take off my shirt today. I look a little more like a couch. My heart diet's helping me a little bit. I look a little bit like all those donuts that I ate for a while. Commitment looks like the object it's committed to. But you can tell even between a basketball player and a swimmer. They're both tall, they're both lean, but they don't look the same because they're committed to something, and you can tell by looking at them. So, someone committed to Christianity, what do they look like? They do not look like Jesus. They look like a Christian. Because you're committed to Christianity. That was the question. Have we confused Christianity and the Christ of Christianity? Have we confused Christianity and Jesus? Have we become more committed to Christianity than we have to Jesus? I'm that guy. I was baptized. My testimony in one sentence is I was a Christian for 20 years. Then I met Jesus. And I hope that makes sense to you. And if it doesn't, let me explain just quickly. I said yes to Jesus. Actually, I said yes to Christianity. Because they said, the guys talking to me told me about hell, how horrible hell is. As a kid, I don't want to go to hell. I think as an adult, I don't want to go to hell. It's scary, it's dark, it's hot. There's creatures that I don't want to look at, and Satan dwells there. They told me about heaven. There's streets of gold. There's gates made out of pearls. There's angels and angelic beings and living creatures that are beyond my imagination. And Jesus is there. As a kid, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. I chose heaven. And I prayed a prayer. And I'm in the club. And now they said, go to church. Well, which church do you go to? There's a lot of combinations and flavors out there. I don't know if you've checked recently, but there's a lot of choices. Ladies, you have a lot of power, though. Just ask Eve. But there was a girl, and her name was Carol, and she went to the Catholic Church. So that must mean God wants me to go to the Catholic Church. So I met the priest. I signed up for the classes. I went through my catechism. I was baptized, had my first communion. I've been sprinkled. But there was another girl, just to cover all my bases. She went to the Episcopal Church, the Anglican Church. I did meet her priest, sign up for their classes, and I was baptized in the Anglican Church. And I played football with a guy named Ab, and Ab went to the Presbyterian Church. So I met his pastor, signed up for their classes, and was baptized there. And I played basketball with a guy named Dave, and he went to the Lutheran Church, and I met his pastor. So I did 4 catechisms. But that's not all. I've been baptized in the United Methodist Church, the Disciples of Christ, Evangelical Free, Assemblies of God, Independent Charismatic, Non-Denominational, Missionary Baptist, American Baptist, and 8 times in a Southern Baptist Church. So whatever your theology is this morning, I'm covered. Sprinkle, splash, dunked, held under, bubbles, I'm covered. All right? I looked like a Christian. They told me, read my Bible. I liked reading. Genesis to Revelation every year. I made it through a couple of times, 3 times in a year. Check, check, check. They told me to pray. I said, how much? An hour a day. Piece of cake. I forgot to tell you about my other baptism. My parents were hippies. So they made my sister and me do transcendental meditation. I got baptized by the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And they gave me a mantra, and I had to go in my room and for 1 hour say I-N-G, ing. So praying was much easier than inging for an hour. So got that one covered. The don'ts were a little harder, but not too hard. I I tried drinking once, tasted like fire. I looked at a cigarette, and cigarettes were fire, so I didn't want to put fire in my mouth. I was training for the Olympics. The hardest one for me was don't chase the girls, but that was one of the rules. I was a straight A student, All-American athlete, qualified for the Olympic trials. But we have a saying where I'm from. Just because there's paint on the outside of the barn doesn't mean there's not manure on the inside. And I looked like a really good Christian. But inside there was a fragrance that was awful. I looked like a Christian. Christianity looks like commitment looks like the object it's committed to. And if you're committed to Christianity, you're going to look like your checklist of to-dos. I listen to Christian radio stations. I wear my Christian T-shirts. I drive a Christian car. I've got a dog that's a Christian. I only take my Christian dog to the Christian vet. And I only go to dentists who do crowns that look like the crowns that you'll get in heaven. But we do that stuff. And it's almost foolishness and silliness to the way it looks. We talk with Christian vocabulary that the rest of the world doesn't understand.